Hi all, we looking good for the evening?
I think so. I think Myrna had some questions about the presenter view, but I think she should be okay.
Good. And so they will be having a closed session tonight. And I think that they may be reporting out from the closed session as well. So unfortunately, it's going to be a bit of a long meeting.
Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Unfunded Village は今年後半のリリースを予定しております。私からは以上です。ありがとうございました。それではクレイグさんにお戻しします。Thank you, Jung-san. Next, let's
Hi, Ronald and Bridget. It's Jaylene. I just want to test my speakers and make sure I'm coming through fine.
Sounding good, Jaylee.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Fred.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, good.
Nice little rain we got last night.
Yeah, we got about 5/8 of an inch here at the house.
Yeah, that's pretty
Pretty
good.
substantial.
That's pretty good. Well, something's better than nothing.
Yes.
So you picked off the Roseland Library picked up one of the Sebastopol Library's best people.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Rosalie's going to be she's really a powerhouse.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Barbara.
I don't see Rachel yet. Good evening, everyone. We will give Rachel just a little bit of time. So Tom, my computer is telling me that my connection is unstable. If I disappear, you're on.
I'm senile tonight. I can't do that. I can't figure out how to turn my volume down. I turned it up for something the other day, and now it's usually something at the bottom, but it's not appearing. So anyway, I'll just hold my fingers over my ears for a while, so I don't have to listen to all of us.
The rest of us can turn you down. All right. I'm going to wait until 6:02 and then we will go. Being mindful of a full agenda.
Yes.
All right, let's see. Rachel? Nope. Okay. We're going to get started in any case. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Happy June. And here we go. Commissioner Cahill,
Here.
Commissioner Elkind,
Here?
Commissioner Engbarth,
Here.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Here.
Commissioner Hauser,
Here.
Commissioner McKenzie, here, Commissioner Parker, Commissioner Snyder.
Here.
Okay, I'm sure she will join us shortly. So we have a quorum. I don't believe we have any public appearances unless someone is actually on the call with us. Jaylene, is that true?
I do not see any public appearances at this time.
Okay, all right, then we're going to move right on.
Announcement.
Hang on.
Number 2. That's just saying that all votes will be cast by a roll call because it's a Zoom meeting. Did we lose her?
Don't know.
Deborah's on mute. There
There she is.
My connection cut out. Commissioner Hauser, I believe we're all aware that we have to take the roll on everything, but thank you for pointing that out
I think
to the public.
we're supposed to say that, being good citizens.
I did, and I think that may have been when I cut out. So let me announce that again. Pursuant to California Code Section 54953, all votes during this teleconference meeting shall be taken by roll call.
Deborah, I just wanted to let you know that Commissioner Parker has joined.
Oh, fabulous. Welcome, Commissioner Parker.
Hi, sorry, I was having a little trouble logging on.
Not at all. I'm having connection problems myself. All right. We have no members of the public with us, so we're going to move down to action items by resolution. 4.1, resolution establishing the need to hold teleconference meeting due to proclaim state of emergency. This is our ongoing resolution for now. May I have a motion?
Sure.
I move
Move it.
adoption of.
Everybody at once.
Everybody at once.
We're all moving adoption of establishing the need to hold teleconferencing meetings due to proclaimed state of emergency.
Correct. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkin,
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider.
Yes.
Excellent. And our next resolution is honoring Pride Month. That is action item 4.2. Commissioner Schneider, would you like to read the resolution?
I would be delighted to read the resolution. I am going to get right to it. If you bear, I was just looking at it, but lost my page. There we go. 4.2, resolution honoring Pride Month. And if I can extemporize a moment, what a great booth at the Pride Festival. Library did a terrific job. It was a chance to also to see the Bibliobus, which all the books had LGBTQ plus titles. It was just so much fun. Well done, library. All right, you ready? Drum roll. Resolution honoring Pride Month 2020-22. Whereas June is designated as International Pride Month, which serves as a time to promote the self-affirmation, dignity, equality, and increased visibility of the LGBTQ plus community. And whereas it has been more than 50 years since the Stonewall riots in 1969, the work to promote queer rights is ongoing. In the past several years have posed significant challenges for our queer community members. And whereas in addition to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, LGBTQ plus people across the United States have faced widespread anti-trans and anti-queer legislation, as well as book bans, and the combination and erasure of queer lives and experiences with a devastating cost to the mental health, physical health, and well-being of the queer community. And whereas California libraries are leaders in advancing civil rights for all people, including the rights of LGBTQ plus residents, and to help ensure that queer joys and struggles are never erased, Sonoma County is launching new opportunities for queer people to add to the shared history of our county and to connect with each other. And whereas the library is actively working to make sure that collections, programs, and services reflect, represent, and uplift the lives and experiences of queer people. And whereas libraries are places where the queer community will always be welcomed and celebrated, not just during Pride Month, but every day. Therefore, be it resolved that the Sonoma County Library Commission celebrates June 2022 as Pride Month.
Thank you, Commissioner Schneider. May I have a second? I'm assuming you're first, you're moving.
I move, I so move.
Yes, thank
I'll
you.
second.
All right, who is first? Who is first as the second?
I'll go for it.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Parker. That's terrific. And I will call the roll for those in favor. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkin,
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser,
Mayor, yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider.
Yes.
Terrific. All right, now moving into presentations. I'm delighted personally that we're going to hear about the Windsor Regional Library branch because it's such a fabulous branch. Not that I'm biased or anything.
Thank you, Deborah. So hello, commissioners. Thank you for having me here this evening. I am happy to present to you about the Windsor Regional Library. My name is Phil Hoff. I am the branch manager, and I'm going to attempt to share my screen now, so bear with me for a second.
Perfect.
I'm hoping that appears full screen for everyone. There we go. Oh, okay. So we should be starting at the first slide here. Is a view of the Windsor Library from the front. You know, some lovely trees. There's a lot of trees and green around our building. I think it's something that draws everyone to the area. Let's see. Here we have an overview of our reference staff. So we have a nice mixture of people who've been in the system for a long time, and also people who have joined us recently within the past year or so, and also a number of staff members who have worked at various locations throughout the county. So you know, we bring all that experience to the team at Windsor. And unfortunately, our slide here is a little bit out of date because Jennifer Ryder, who was our children's librarian, is now the branch manager of the Runner Park Cotati Library. So, you know, our loss, but Runner Park Cotati's gain. She's going to do great there, and we're happy to see her step up into that role. So with that said, Jennifer, until recently, was our children's librarian. And then we also have, filling out the reference staff, Brianna Herod, who's a part-time library associate, who is soon to finish up library school. So she'll be joining our ranks as an official librarian soon. Jody Tam is our teen services librarian. And then we have Vicky Chavez for adult services and myself as the branch manager. For our support staff, our circulation desk and shelving, we've got 6 members in our team. We've got 2 full-time circulation staff, Holly Ramos and Sophia Gonzalez. And then we've got 2 part-time circulation staff, Jenny Fernandez and Patrick Cass, and then 2 shelvers, Karen Longetto and Sam Eklund. If you've been in the Windsor branch, you'll note that as soon as you walk in the door, someone's sure to greet you. And most often than not, it's someone from our circulation team. Here's a quick snapshot of the inside of the building, a little bit about our features. So we are located right on the town green in Windsor. This is a huge draw for people. They love to, you know, come visit the green, play in the park, shop in the area, and then stop by the library. Our building size is only 7,600 square feet. So this is pretty small for a library, especially one that's as busy as we are. And part of that reason is that it was originally designed as an office building and then it converted into a library in 1996. So, you know, there's some positives and negatives with that. One is that we are really, really busy for our building size. But the positive is that there's a ton of light in our building. Again, if you've been in our building, you've seen the space, all the light. It's very nice inside. A little bit about our support teams. So we have the Friends of the Windsor Library who are very active. They have a dedicated book corner right in our main lobby area. You can see a view of that here. They also do pop-up book sales at the farmers markets, which are on Sunday mornings. And those that take place pretty much right in front of the library building. And then our friends sponsor a number of services and special events. They sponsor some of the concerts on the town green. This first one of the season was actually this past week. So they were a sponsor, and the friends and library staff tabled at the event to talk with folks in the area. And then our library advisory board has 8 members, including 1 youth member, though we have a number of vacancies at the moment. Here's a little overview of kind of the town of Windsor on the map, a little bit about demographics, and you can see the image on the left is an overview of cardholders, and on the right just shows kind of the municipal areas in the central and north county. And you can see here that though most of our card users are located in the town of Windsor, we do have a number from northern Santa Rosa, including Larkfield and Wickiup, and then also northwest Santa Rosa. We do have a very active student population in the town, including just over 4,000 student one cards. We've had a number of class visits at the end of the school year recently, and many of those students came into the building and used their student one cards to check out. So pretty seamless process. We're really happy with how that's working and happy to support the schools in our community. We have just about 5,000 regular library card holders. And then you can see our total population is just over 26,000. And we have 23% of our population that speaks Spanish as their primary language in the home. Sorry, I went kind of in reverse order on this slide from the bottom to the top. Here's a little snapshot of data for you. So as mentioned earlier, our library is really small. That means our collection is on the smaller end for the libraries in the county. We have about 38,000 items as of April of this year. You can see a comparison of circulation from 2019. The monthly average was about 17,000. And then this year to date, it's about 13,700 is our monthly average for checkouts. So there's been, a change with the pandemic and the related issues. You can see that also with our monthly visitors. 2019, we averaged almost 10,000 visitors per month. And then so far year to date this year, just about 5,600. So that's dropped a little bit. Everyone's habits have changed. So we're seeing the impact of that a little bit. And then events and outreach. I don't have a whole lot for this year because we're just starting to get rolling that way. But in 2019, you can see that we had 458 events with just about 12,000 attendees. That's a lot, and we're aiming to get back up there. Just kind of highlighting a bit here. I actually can't see the top of my slide. Give me 1 second here. Formats differently on the presentation. So the image in the top left corner of the slide is a picture of a story time during a recent class visit from a school. The Windsor Library serves really, all ages in our community. There's a number of families who come into our buildings. We have a very robust older adult population that frequent the building. And after 3 p.m., usually when school gets out, tons of teens and kids in the area that come in. So really all ages. And one thing that we love to do with the image in the bottom left corner of the slide is engage with readers of all ages. So whether that's making book recommendations or just talking to folks about what they like reading or what they enjoy, we really, really love engaging that way. This image here is a mystery date with a book, which we did around Valentine's Day. So that's something that we really look forward to doing. The top right image on this slide just says community outreach just ahead. We are actively thinking about where we can best meet the needs of our community and meet them in their spaces. One thing that we have coming up that we're really looking forward to is connecting with the Windsor Veterans Village here or in the town of Windsor. It's a newer complex that has not been open, for visitors really until recently. So we've got an outreach event planned at the end of this month, and moving forward, we'll visit them probably at least once a month to talk with the residents and connect them to the library. And then as far as in-person opportunities. Pre-pandemic, we loved having folks in our building to learn and share ideas and really develop themselves. And we have master gardeners lined up for the summer and a couple other excellent presentations and opportunities to learn as well. And here's just kind of a view of a day in the life of Windsor. Friendly staff faces, the building from the outside, and just if you visit us, this is kind of what you'll see, except of course, Jen, who is in the top left corner, will no longer be here in Windsor. But we have a staff member dressed as Pete the Cat. So that was a lot of fun. We've got our 3D printer. There's a couple of 3D prints highlighted in here. That's something that draws folks of all ages to our building. We have it running every day as long as much as we can, and that people spark conversation over that, ask us questions. We teach them about 3D printing and the uses, not just to make toys, but to learn about how all walks of life use that technology really to explore and create things. And then we have a series of mural of author portraits in our lobby area. These were created by Sonia Murphy, who is the daughter of a previous branch manager, Anne Marie Murphy. And if you ever get a chance to visit, check them out. They're really cool. They're original illustrations with quotes about the authors. And I realize I probably sped through that extra fast. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
And just a question, your branch provides most of the broadband for the town green, correct?
Good question, thank you. Yes, the broadband does extend about halfway across the town green. So if you're closer to the library, there's good chance you'll have connectivity on most of the green.
Thank you. Any other questions for Phil?
I have a follow-up to that, Deborah, if I could. Phil, I was curious, since the Wi-Fi was expanded, have you noticed, more people hanging around outside the library on laptops or taking advantage of it?
That's a good question. So the town green area is very busy. We definitely
I realize, yeah.
Yeah, all around the area in front of our building. Definitely, if you walk across our parking lot, there is a shaded area where there's some benches and people do sit there with devices. Maybe not so much laptop usage, but certainly mobile usage with their phones or iPads. We definitely see that. Yeah.
A beautiful presentation. Thank you.
Barbara?
Thank you. Thanks, Phil. Yes, I agree with Andy. It was a really excellent presentation. I enjoyed working with you when you were at Rohnert Park, and I went down to say hi to Jennifer Ryder this morning, so I'm kind of gradually getting to know everybody who's at the Windsor branch. You mentioned the opportunities to do outreach, and we're talking about flexible spaces now a lot with our new reimagining plan and facilities master plan. I wonder, do you have any real flexible space down there? Do you have a patio or anything? I can't remember. I know that you mentioned the Friends out in front with the book sales, and I know the Christmas event, you really always have the tree out there and stuff, but do you have any other kind of like learning spaces or redo a dog places or anything outside? Sure.
So the closest space is going to be the green, which is there, and we have a really good relationship with the town Parks and Rec department, so they're very supportive of if we wanted to make use of part of the green for an event, pop up, something to that extent. However, it's also very busy and requires maintenance, so we have to plan around cutting the grass, watering schedule, all that stuff. It's also, they have a lot of community use of that space as well. So it's a very full calendar, not only just for town events, but community organizations. As far as around our building, it's I think because it was built as a town office prior to being a library, there's not a lot of real flexibility there. The surrounding area is landscaped kind of like an office building. But, I think we're all getting creative or having to think outside the box. So I would certainly like to look forward to different ways we can be out around our space.
Thanks so much, Phil. Anybody else? Well, we're delighted that you came to give us a report.
Thank you
Take
all for
care.
having me.
Mhm. Okay, and now we're going to have the staff presentation on the 2022 summer reading program. Are all of you wearing your summer reading t-shirts? I am.
Hi, all.
Welcome, Kathy.
Good evening, commissioners. I'm Kathy DeWeeks, as many of you, most of you know. I'm the Youth Services Administrator for the library system. I am here today to present on behalf of myself and Alita DeBoss, who is unfortunately not here today to help present. She's off having exciting family time. But I'm here to share information about this year's annual summer reading program. The summer reading program continues to be the largest annual learning initiative that the library does. And this program runs this year from June 6th through August 13th. And the primary goals of Sonoma County Library Summer Reading are to foster a culture of reading in our community and to encourage participants to read 20 minutes each day. National research from the Dominican University finds that students who participate in public library summer reading programs score higher on reading achievement tests at the beginning of the next school year than those who do not participate. That said, we know that the participation in summer reading is much more than just school kids. We have preschool level programming and reading. We have school age, we have teens, and we also have adults. And the adult summer reading really continues to grow in participation and in use. This year, one thing that we did a little bit different is we are focusing on the positive and concrete messaging around the benefits of reading together, rather than emphasizing the negative imagery of the summer slide. In past years, we really focus a lot on summer slide, read 20 minutes a day so that you don't lose all your reading by the end of the summer. And this year, we're walking back that negative messaging and instead really just focusing on the positive part about reading together. And so you will see that message, that let's read together, that we see here with the cute little bear and you all saw the otter sleeping on the pile of books. So we're really trying to focus more on that positive imagery. As I mentioned, summer reading launched today and it goes through Saturday, August 13th. You can sign up right now online at sonomalibrary.beanstack.org or on your phone if you have the Beanstack Tracker app. Or you can continue to pick up a paper log and record your reading just by coloring in 20-minute blocks on the paper log. This year's program is a minutes-based reading challenge for all ages. It encourages each participant to read 16 hours, which is 960 minutes over the course of the summer. That somewhat works out to 20 minutes a day if you're reading for the 8 weeks of the program. It's a little under, but we figure, there's weekends and whatever, but it's about 20 minutes a day. Again, we are rewarding reading with more reading. The incentives for reading include participants earning free books by reading 8 hours and then another free book at 16 hours. Something that we're doing a little differently this year is we're doing a participation raffles at the end of the summer, because what we found last summer, we were trying to do weekly raffles and we found that people were kind of saving up all their minutes and logging in at the end of the summer and then they didn't get to participate in the weekly. So we're just gonna have the participation raffles at the end of the summer, and the more you read, the more entries into the raffle you get. And then there will also be grand prize incentive raffles for anyone who completes the 16 hours of reading. That's really what we're pushing is to complete 16 hours, because that gives us that statistic of kids who read that 20 minutes a day. Tracking of minutes and reading will be primarily through Beanstack, the online reading management platform we've used for the past couple of years. Although, as I said, patrons will also have the option to record reading through the paper log. This year, we returned to in-person events. The schedule of summer reading events includes some virtual, some outdoors, and some in-branch experiences. We are pushing towards having more diversity in our programming in terms of the kinds of performers we're bringing into the library, the kinds of choices that were given to the branches to choose from. The lineup this year comprises spotlight performers like Dave Rocha Jazz Trio. There's a group called Sabor de Mi Cuba. There's the Ramana Vieira Fado music. So we're bringing back music to the libraries. Paint parties, we're having bilingual Zumba, Loteria, which is a kind of a family program of Mexican style of bingo. Children's highlights include African drumming, a Cascada de Flores, which is a Spanish language music, another group called Animal Music, and then Zun Zun Tunes, which is also bilingual music. Teen workshops include anime workshops, teen trivia, learn how to DJ, tile art, and other exciting stuff. So lots of cool events, and they're coming back in person. We're also excited. We also have a few different, or several different system-wide events this year. We have a teen film festival that we will be, gathering submissions all summer long, and then we will have the culmination event at the end of the summer. We have a virtual open mic contest, which is for all ages. And again, similar thing, we are gathering submissions all summer and then having an event at the end of the summer. And then we're bringing back the community scavenger hunt. We've gotten a lot of good feedback about participation in those events where people get to either explore their libraries or go out into the community and to engage community members of all ages to learn, create, and interact as part of the summer reading program. And those three events really all are helping us to meet our new reimagining plan goals of having opportunities really to create and to interact in a new way. So that's what our hope was with those three different system-wide events. Another system-wide summer reading focus is Lunch at the Library. This year, we are partnering again with Redwood Empire Food Bank, Burbank Housing, and several school districts to support free meal service in our community. We are not serving lunch at the libraries themselves, but we will be providing summer reading outreach and programming at 41 different pop-up locations that serve lunches to youth in all of the communities. Every single community will be touched by our summer reading outreach with the Lunch at the Library. The Scavenger Hunt, if you haven't participated before, it's held through an app called Goose Chase. And then you would sign up for a link through the events calendar to get a link to join the hunt. But also this year we have it where you can download the list of links and participate offline for those who don't have access to smartphones and stuff. Whoa. The last thing that I want to just chat about, which is not on the slide, but I'll take questions in a minute. The question came up is, how do we measure success? So as I mentioned, the program encourages each participant to read 16 hours, 960 minutes over the course of the summer. And this is based on the best practice that people should read at least 20 minutes a day to combat the summer slide. We regularly review the statistics through the Beanstack management platform about the participation, completion, and number of books read. And what we're looking for each year is an increased percentage of participants who complete 16 hours. I will say, can we show that increase? The pandemic was hard. The 2020 summer reading, we had no incentives, and we were kind of making up all this virtual stuff. We had really dismal numbers in 2020. Last year, they were greatly increased, but I don't know if the increase over 2020 is something to be excited about. So this year, I am very excited that we're going to be able to show an increase in our statistics over last year, and therefore be able to demonstrate our success in that way. The other measure of success that we pursue relates to the California statewide outcomes for summer reading. Through the California State Library and then developed by working groups of librarians across the state, they have developed specific outcomes for each age range of participants in California summer reading programs. There are three outcomes that young children and their parents and caregivers and school-age children feel part of a community of readers and library users. The second one is that teens make connections at the library. And the third is that adults find value and enjoyment at the library. And each of these outcomes builds on research from Dominican University and on findings from other years of this outcomes initiative. and finding that people who take part in public library summer reading programs tend to be active and engaged readers who already use libraries. So the push with this outcomes-based process is that we are really actively looking to engage people who are outside of just the regular library users who already love the library. What we do to help gather this information is that we do have an outcome survey that we provide to participants, and we survey them during the summer to see how well we are meeting the outcomes, with our goal to continue to strengthen the bond that people who identify as readers have with their library and with other library users. In short, we just want them to find a community at the public library. So all that said, I encourage you all to sign up for summer reading and to participate in our Sonoma County community of readers, and I would love to take questions.
Super, thanks, Kathy. Who's got questions?
We have Commissioner McKenzie and Commissioner Elkin.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Thanks, Kathy. I have an indelible image of you coming down when we were meeting in person in your big cape. And so I always think of you in the summer reading program where you're sweeping in. I know that there's a big push because our program starts when schools end. And I like the fact that you're backing off, have backed off on the negative, but, you know, emphasizing the positive about reading. But I was just wondering, could you tell us just a little bit about the coordination with the schools and how this kind of big push gets out so all the school kids are aware of it and the parents are aware of it, you know, before summer starts? Because I know you're and your team do things like that. I just kind of wonder how that happens.
A couple ways. One way is that we have developed it's kind of like a save the date bookmark that we send out, and we produce those like in early May, and we got those to the branches so that they could distribute them directly to their school contacts. Another way that we engage is that through the platform called Orange Boy or Savannah that sends out newsletters to the library community. Over time, our education initiatives librarian, which is Rachel Ikaza, has developed a distribution list that she can very easily target secondary school educators and elementary school educators. And so she does push out newsletters to those groups with all of the information about summer reading as soon as we have it. We have, in addition to those two things, which are kind of at the system-wide level, one of our huge pushes really for the past 5 years has been to strengthen the relationships that the branch staff have with the schools in their service area. And so I got lots and lots of messages from branch staff over the past few weeks about all of the school visits that they were doing, going out to the schools to talk up summer reading. So I don't have numbers as to the exact number of school visits that were done for summer reading, but there was a lot. And I would say every library, I don't know if they got to every school in their service areas, but they got out to a lot.
Good. Yeah.
Super. Commissioner Elkin.
Thanks, Deborah. Hey, Kathy, not a question, but just a comment. I think it's fantastic how you are really extending and revising the program to follow along with the reimagining plan and the outreach efforts and the kind of very broad sense of reading. I think that engagement is just fantastic. So kudos to you and your team for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I would just add to respond to Andy is that when we were able to offer lunch in the library, we might see 4 or 5 kids at a library location. And then a couple of years ago, maybe it was 2019 probably, we went out to Bayer Farm to do an outreach, and we saw that they had 200 kids at their lunch, and we're like, why are we there and not here? And so I think that the pop-up lunch is a really good solution.
Yeah, and it's so in line with the reimagining plan. At least my understanding of what we're trying to do. I think it's great, and I really appreciate that open-mindedness and flexibility. Thank you,
Commissioner Parker.
Hi, thank you. I love this presentation. I do summer reading myself, even though I don't do it through the library, but now I think I will. I wanted to follow up on what Commissioner McKenzie was asking regarding the schools. I want to come to the back end of August, September. Do you get feedback, or do you have a mechanism for getting feedback from the teachers or the librarians at the schools, if there are some, about, improve performance by having kids involved. I just would think that would be really rewarding for your staff as well.
I see that, and I will say that in the past we have had a practice. I mean, when I say in the past, I'm saying like more than 10 years ago, of sharing information with the schools of participants. But at some point we identified that, in terms of privacy, we really can't share reading information of library patrons, even though it's with their teachers. And so we're not actively doing that. But what we do is if families have signed up in Beanstack and identified what their child's school are, we will send that information to the schools and say, 300 kids from this school. Okay, we don't have 300 from a school, but say, 50 kids from this school of 300 kids did participate in the summer reading, and 56% of them read at least 20 minutes a day. So, I mean, we provide that kind of information, but we cannot give them the personal information about like, well, this child did. So, yeah. So,
yeah, I get that. Great. Thank you very much.
Super. Seeing no other hands, I'm going to make a couple of comments myself. We're always so very enthusiastic about this program, Kathy, and you all do such a great job. Regarding the system-wide events, if there's an opportunity for, say, a commissioner, and I'm not naming names, but to participate, say, to hand out some awards or to be present at some of those events, I think you would have enthusiastic support from the commissioners. So, so think about us when you're handing out assignments.
We would love to have special guests at the at the open mic and is that, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, the system-wide events. Yeah, we would love that. We'll be in touch.
Fabulous. And then about the lunch at the library. I've been sitting on the California Library Association Legislative Committee for a very long time, and have watched how lunch at the library has been funded first very, very tiny, and now the state is funding some of it. And I think it's such a wonderful thing that we're helping the underserved. That said, we need to brag about this. Libraries need to brag about their participation in lunch at the library, because ultimately kids should not be hungry enough so that libraries, so that we're having to put programs like this together. And so we have to sing about it and tell our legislators, and I'm talking to everybody who's watching this video and everybody who's on the commission, because it's really, really important. And you all are doing such a wonderful, wonderful job. And we need to make sure that people hear about it. Thank you. Any other comments? Thanks so much. We'll be reading. We promise.
Thank you all.
Okay. Do we have someone from the foundation with us today?
We do. I believe Sarah Ortiz is here.
Fabulous.
Hello, commissioners. If you don't mind, I'll share my screen for a quick report. One moment. Right. So good evening. I'm Sarah Ortiz, as you all probably know, with the Sonoma County Public Library Foundation. And again, our goal is to provide funding to ensure equitable access to Sonoma County library services. And that encompasses the Roseland Capital Campaign, which is our next big focus. So we're looking forward to the exciting launch of our capital campaign in the early fall, which you guys have probably heard a little bit about. I know Ray Hawley and his team are working really hard on a video. There's all kinds of exciting things happening in the foundation. And so June and July for us are all about wrapping up all of our campaign readiness steps. We've had a punch list and we're working through it. So here are some of the things that we're going to be working on. The MOU between the foundation and the library. So we at our last foundation meeting in May, we had a robust discussion about the MOU, and at Commissioner Hauser's recommendation, it's now moving into its final stages where the foundation attorney and the library commission attorney can talk through the final details, and hopefully we can, the foundation can, vote to fully accept the MOU, and then the commission can vote to fully accept the MOU, and we can move forward with that. But we're really excited about that. The campaign fundraising plan. So one of our board members, Chris Falley, has a lot of experience with nonprofits and with capital fundraising. And so she has agreed to lead the effort to create a fundraising plan. So she's going to work with Craig and myself to create a plan for the next 3 years. So instead of being reactive, which I feel like the foundation has been for some time, reacting to needs or reacting to opportunities, we're going to actually create a plan, which we need. I think we can all agree on how to fundraise the money for the Roseland campaign, and this will set us up in the future as well. We'll keep creating fundraising plans for the short term and long term so that we can be proactive about raising funds for the library. Donor software. So our excellent treasurer, who we're so happy to have, Judy Glenn, has been working with Craig Palmer, and they are inputting all of our lists, our mailing lists, our donor files into Bloomerang. And this is going to be really comprehensive and allow us to look at our donors and just have all of the information in one place. And I think, again, we can all agree, this is just necessary to bring the foundation into the 21st century, and just be able to look up when was the last time we communicated with this person. Has their giving dropped off? Has their giving increased? What are they interested in? How can we engage with them better? How can we steward them as a donor? How can we thank them? I mean, this will just really help us have more information about our donors and allow us to raise more funds as a foundation, because we'll have all the information that we need in one place. That's been a big lift. So big shout out to Judy and Craig. Community-based giving. So the Roseland Capital Campaign is a campaign that needs everyone, right? We all have to get on board. And so this is for about small gifts, which is like pocket change to $25, maybe up to $100, but smaller gifts, but really including the community so that we are all a part of this Roseland Capital Campaign, because the library is for everyone. And so the foundation will be working with Sonoma County Library staff like Craig, Ray, other staff members, as well as community members on how to engage the community in this capital campaign and how to engage those small donors. We're working on our new website. So the build, I believe, is next week. So by next month, we should have a new website. And this is really so that we can direct people to a new and improved website when we start having cultivation events, when we start handing out flyers, when we start talking to people about the Roseland Capital Campaign. We'll have a new website where people can go and learn everything they need to learn all in one place. And they'll have the frequently asked questions all about the Roseland Capital Campaign on our website. They'll be able to get all of the information they need. They'll be able to contact us easily. And so we're really excited about that. And our first Roseland specific appeal is coming. And so this isn't a huge kickoff, but it'll be a letter from the president, from me, just talking about our excitement for the upcoming campaign and kind of introducing people to the idea. This is going to be our focus, and this is a really exciting time. And so we want to share that with our donors and kind of let them in on what's happening. Finally, I just want to say thank you. I've had several conversations with different commissioners, and I just want to thank you. The collaboration between the library staff, the foundation, and the commission, it just feels really productive, and like a lot of really good work is happening. And I know that the commission is volunteers, the foundation is all volunteers, and I just want to thank you all for being a part of this and for keeping us in mind when you're talking to people about donations or nominating committee or, joining the foundation, any of these things. I really appreciate the collaboration, and we all want a strong library system, and that's what we're all working towards. So thank you.
Thanks very much. Any questions or comments? I don't see hands.
You have Commissioner McKenzie.
Commissioner McKenzie.
I just wanted to say, Sarah, you're a volunteer too. And so we thank you too for all of your work. And you've been a great communicator and, really kept us up to date and really appreciate that. And thank you for all the time that you put in on this also.
Anybody else? All right. We really appreciate your work, Sarah.
Thank you, commissioners.
And I'm sure that we'll all be working with you. So, take care. Thanks very much. Enjoy the evening. All right, let's see. We have library reports next. Anne, do you have anything to add to the library reports?
No, actually, it's a pretty comprehensive set of reports, and I'm going to let it stand unless there are questions or comments.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Elkin.
I just one quick question, please, Anne. You mentioned, I think at 2 points, that reading habits have changed and have been trending more toward digital formats. I'm just curious, is that something that other library systems are seeing as well? And are their percentages of physical materials versus electronic materials similar to ours?
I don't know the exact percentages at other libraries, but yes, this is a nationwide trend. Most libraries are seeing that the switch to digital during the pandemic has held now that we're coming out of it. And actually that trend had started even before the pandemic. So people want to have those choices available to them. Whatever format you choose to read, we don't care. We just want you to read.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Ingbarth, your hand was
Yes,
up.
wanted to thank Anne for the thoroughness of the report. It's good to be able to track what's going on. I only had a question, and it was more curiosity than anything else about the Haas Junior Fund Leadership Program. Could you say a little bit about that, what that is?
You're referring to the Haas Junior Family Fund?
Yeah.
We have had discussions with them about some of our funding needs for example, for a needs assessment for the Roseland Project. Is that what you're referring to?
Just about what they do.
Oh, okay. Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask Craig Palmer to help us with that question.
Sure.
He's
that's
familiar with them. Craig?
And I'm going to thank you for that. And I'm going to actually ask Deborah to help us with that question, since Deborah was the one who brought us this funder. Fred, I think you know, and I appreciate why you brought this up. Haas Junior Family Fund is probably one of the most important funders working in the county right now. And Deborah brought him to us to introduce us to the Roseland Project. So Deborah, do you want to give a little overview of that?
I've known him for the executive director for a very long time. We worked together in San Francisco, and he also was the executive director of the Mechanics Library in San Francisco. So he has a love of libraries, and it seemed a wonderful opportunity. He thinks that the Roseland Library and the Roseland Community Center can really change the face of not just Roseland, but also Santa Rosa, and be a model for other things in Sonoma County and, in fact, California, and who knows. So just preliminary conversations at the moment, but it's certainly something that we're delighted to be having conversations about.
Yeah, that's exciting. Thank you.
It is. Barbara, Commissioner McKenzie.
Yes, this may be the last meeting that I in with Anne, and Anne and I are both in the same meeting. So I just wanted to say how far the reports have come under your tenure. And we used to have to kind of piece together lots of different things and read lots of different stuff. And just the quality of this very concise report. I know tons of stuff goes into it. I know Ray has been involved, but all this to you and to all the staff that are involved is just a wonderful 1 or 2 page compilation of where we're at as a library. And I really appreciate it. It's excellent. Thank you.
Quite welcome. It's hard to pare it all down because our our staff are doing so much out there. But I'm glad you appreciate the effort.
Thanks very much. Yes, we could listen for hours to all the wonderful things that you're doing, but instead we need to go to the programs and read the website and talk to staff, which is not an onerous responsibility. But thank you very much, Anne. I'm seeing no other hands. I'm also not asking for public comment because there's no one on the meeting who is from the public. So I'm not trying to violate our rules, but I don't think we need to waste time doing that. Is there anything else that you or Myrna would like to report on the budget and finance report? If not, we can certainly move on to the next item.
Well, I think the monthly financial reports can stand as they are. They're pretty self-explanatory.
Mm-hmm.
And Myrna will be discussing the budget items later on in the agenda.
Does anybody have a question about the budget and finance report, that monthly report? All right, then we'll keep moving because we've got a lot on our plate tonight. Commission and liaison reports. All right, commissioner reports. Does anybody have anything to add to their report, the report submitted? Wait, I see a hand, and Commissioner Ingbarth.
Yes, hi. I just wanted, since we skipped it, to give a shout out to Ray for the coverage they have for the Here Plus Queer program. I thought that was really good and was really extensive. So I just wanted to thank you for it.
Thanks very much. And Commissioner Schneider.
I just want to say that I really appreciate how nice the Guerneville reopening event was. That was just terrific, and how just seeing Guerneville so refreshed and beautiful just really lifted my heart. So that was terrific. A nice event by everybody involved.
That's right. We celebrate that. Thank you very much for mentioning it. Let's see. All right. Then we're down to committee and liaison reports. Does anybody want to add anything to their written reports? I'm not seeing any faces. You're going to have to sing out because I can't see. Let's see the gallery. Yeah. No, I don't see any hands. Okay. We are down to item 9, lab appointments. 9.1, Petaluma Library Advisory Board reappointments. Commissioner Heavenridge, do you want to? I believe you're on mute. Paul, you're on mute.
Sorry.
There you go.
The screen was so big, I couldn't. Let me get to the report right here.
How big was it?
How big was it? It was too big. My eyesight's going, I have to enlarge everything. No. Let's see. Petaluma. I move by resolution that the Sonoma County Library Commission reappoint the following applicants to the Petaluma Library Advisory Board for the terms listed. Mia Wade and Andrew Heller to youth advisory positions for terms ending June 30th, 2023. And Carol King, Emily Roeder, Tim May, and Errol Stevenson to advisory positions for terms ending June 30th, 2026. And I just have to say, these are all wonderful people, and I'm glad they're re-enlisting because we really do have a good lab, and these people really contribute, in fact, so much that we're hoping that we meet quarterly, we can up that. So I think everybody's wanting to do that for a while. So
terrific. Some labs might want to know your secret. That was a motion. I'm going to take that as a motion. Does somebody want a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call the roll to approve. Commissioner Cahill?
Yes.
Commissioner Elkin?
Yes.
Commissioner Ingbarth?
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge?
Absolutely.
Commissioner Hauser?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes, and I don't want to not mention that Carol King has apparently been on the lab for 30 years. So extra applause to her. Thank you.
Yeah, really.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider.
Yes.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Then we welcome the Petaluma Advisory Board members back. And, and perhaps we have talked about having a thank you party for all the people who have been involved with this library for such a long time. She certainly is one of the people who's going to be on that list. The Guerneville Library Advisory Board reappointments. Commissioner Schneider, you want to take that on?
Of course I do. Excuse me. I just need to get to the right part in the report. All right. I move by resolution that the Sonoma County Library Commission reappoint the following applicant to the term listed. Gail Culverwell to an advisory position on the Guerneville Library Advisory Board for a term ending June 30th, 2026.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I think that was Commissioner Heavenridge, wasn't it? Was that you?
I believe that was Commissioner Cahill. Did I get that right?
Commissioner Cahill, go for it. All right, Commissioner Cahill is the second. Then I am going to ask for approval. Commissioner Cahill said yes. Commissioner Elkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth.
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge.
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser.
Yeah, yes.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Yes.
Commissioner Parker.
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider.
Yes.
All right, it's unanimous. Then we will move to Sebastopol.
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth, would you like to read the names of your reappointments?
Yes, I'd like to move the reappointment of Jennifer, and there's a correction on her name. It's Jennifer Peterson Hunter. She brought to my attention last night that her name was changed recently. So I wanted to make that correction and then move that she be reappointed for another term.
Do I have a second? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead. That's fine.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Parker. All right, then I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Cahill.
Yes.
Commissioner Elkind.
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth.
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge.
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Yes.
Commissioner Parker.
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider.
Yes.
All right, it's unanimous. And I am sorry that I interrupted you. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about her?
No. I mean,
I'm so
have an
sorry.
agenda that's long enough.
Okay. Okay. Sonoma Valley, Commissioner Hauser, would you like to talk about
Yes.
your? All right.
I move by resolution that the Sonoma County Library Commission appoint the following applicants to the terms listed. Appoint Aparna Sinha and reappoint Beverly Seifert to advisory positions in the Sonoma Valley Library Advisory Board for terms ending June 30, 2026. And I want to say Aparna is new, and to the commission, she is younger and she has a 7-year-old child. And I'm very, very happy we've expanded from the old gray matter to some younger matter here. We're very happy. Beverly has just been elected as the chair of the commission because we've had some changes. Thank you.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Great. Then I will call the roll. Commissioner Cahill.
Yes.
Commissioner Elkind.
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth.
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge.
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Yes.
Commissioner Parker.
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider.
Yes.
All right, it is unanimous. Then we are going to move to the consent calendar. I mentioned, I believe, that 10.3, we have removed 10.3 this time, but we'll accept the facilities master plan final report at the next commission meeting. Is there anything else that anyone wants to remove from the consent calendar? I'm not seeing any hands. Oh, wait, did I see a hand?
You did. We have Director Hammond.
Director Hammond.
I'm not asking to remove from the consent calendar, but item 10.2, the commission meeting schedule. I just wanted to point out that next March 31st is actually Cesar Chavez Day. So the library will be closed that day, but we are asking that you approve the calendar now so that you can start the new schedule in July. And then next month, we will bring back an amended schedule.
Okay. And just as a reminder, we're going to be meeting on the first Wednesday, most of the next fiscal year. Do I have a motion to
Doyle?
approve? Oh, yes.
We have Commissioner McKenzie.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand, Barbara. Commissioner McKenzie.
No, thank you. I just wanted to follow up on what our director just said. When we were introduced to this concept last week or last month, it was moving to Wednesday plus being hybrid. And I wondered, this was the schedule for Wednesday, but has any further decision been made about the hybrid part?
We're prepared to move to a hybrid arrangement when the commission is ready.
Okay, so we will discuss that again then, I gather.
Yes.
Thank you.
And also, I think a lot of it depends on how the COVID rates are. So if the governor isn't forcing people to meet, then we have some flexibility. But thank you for mentioning that publicly, Barbara. All right. So may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll move it.
Thank you, David. Fabulous.
I'll second.
Paul seconded. Then I will take the roll. Commissioner Cahill.
Yes.
Commissioner Elkin.
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth.
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge.
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Yes.
Commissioner Parker.
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider.
Yes.
Terrific. Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to go for section 11, action items by motion. The 11.1 is as you can see on the agenda, to accept the CalPERS actuarial analysis, the evaluation and the retiree health plan. And do you want to talk about that some more? Or are we just moving this?
Well, we're mostly just moving that in the actuarial valuation. If you have specific questions about it, Myrna is here, and we can have that conversation now or whatever you choose.
Yes.
Actually,
and Commissioner Elkin has his hand up, and I think he
Yes.
probably may want to give a little intro because
if
he's been
I-
working hard on this.
If I would like to I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand, but this is CFO.
Please.
It's a two-part agenda item. One is the request to ask the commission to accept the two reports from Bartels that have been reviewed by the Finance Committee. And we are required as a library to have evaluation of our OPEB long-term liability as part of our existing 115 trust with CalPERS. So that is one of our requirements, and that's what's presented here to you is that OPEB valuation report. And the other is also an evaluation to get a projection of long-term liability as it comes to our pension side. And with that, Finance Chair Elkind and I have been in discussion in reviewing these two reports, and the Finance Committee has had discussions on the policy implications of the long-term unfunded liabilities regarding these two items. And so Chair Elkind has a presentation that he prepared for this agenda item.
Super. Sorry, I apologize, Andy.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Myrna. I wanted to just say a few words because I realize that we're asking you to accept two fairly lengthy and complex documents. And I wanted to just give a little background and big picture that I hope will help with this process. A few things I wanted to emphasize. First of all, we have a wonderful library system, but I think we would all agree that the number one asset that we have is our staff. And our ability to attract, hire, retain, and develop our staff is what is going to enable us to move ahead with the reimagining plan and create the kind of 21st century library for Sonoma County that we want to have. That said, the pension and other post-employment benefits that we provide are important in our ability to attract, hire, retain, and develop staff. Our staff depend on these benefits, and assessing the funding and the stability of these long-term liabilities is a key part of our fiduciary role as a commission. So we take this very seriously. Now, that said, the goal today is just to accept the reports. We're not asking you to take any action on the pension plan, although I'm going to be talking about some discussions that we've had at the Finance Committee. We're going to be continuing to have these discussions, and we'll be coming back to the full commission at some point, I hope soon, with a recommendation for action. With regard to the other post-employment benefits, or OPEB, you may have noticed a small item later in the agenda, but essentially we're staying the course with that as well. Now, I also want to acknowledge that the analysis that is behind these reports is extremely complex. If anybody on the call has ever tried to figure out their own retirement and, can I afford to retire, and will I have enough money, and how long am I going to live? You can imagine what it must be like to do this for an entire system with over 200 employees. It's very complicated, and the actuarial analysis is deeply detailed. The OPEB analysis is even more complex because you're also adding the variable of healthcare costs. So the analysis that went into these reports was complicated and in-depth. We've discussed them for several months at the Finance Committee, and although our feeling was that Bartell Associates had done certainly a very professional job with the analysis, we struggled a bit with the presentation that they made to us. We felt that they got a little lost in the details and were not clear on the big picture. So what I'd like to do is just take a few minutes to share some slides that I think will hopefully give you the big picture of both of the reports. And then Myrna and I will try to answer any questions that you have. But again, please keep in mind that our goal is simply to accept the reports tonight, not to take any action. So with that, I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's see. Are you seeing just the first slide, or are you also seeing other slides?
We're seeing the introduction and some basic definitions.
Yeah.
If you click on that, swap presenter view.
Is
Perfect.
this better?
That is better.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a quick introduction to the pension report, and then I think I'll just go into the OPEB report. Is that okay? Or do you want me to stop after the pension report?
I think you can move forward.
Okay. So something I wanted to mention, we got this report earlier this year, but you may have noticed that it's a valuation based on June 30th of 2020. And this is one of the frustrating things about these reports. They're always basically a year and a half behind. So we do have some projections from Bartell, but it's frustrating that we can't get a more timely view, but with pension analysis, that's just how it works. Now, a couple of things that I'm going to ask you to keep in mind. Our pension plan is what's called a defined benefit plan. Now, the other kind of plan is a defined contribution plan. That's like if you have an IRA. But a defined benefit plan is an employer-sponsored retirement plan where employee benefits are computed using a formula that considers several factors such as length of employment and salary history. And the employer, in this case, the library, is responsible for managing the plan's investments and risks, and will usually hire an outside investment manager to do this. The other key term, and I know there's a lot of terminology in this report, but the key term that I'm going to ask you to keep in mind is unfunded liability. What is the amount that we're projected to owe that we don't yet currently have in the plan? That's not yet been funded. That's a gap between the assets we have and the estimate of what we're going to owe. Now, in terms of public agency pensions, you may have heard over the years that the Sonoma County Library and other public agencies in California and around the country have a serious pension problem. Well, why is this? Well, there are four possible reasons, and it turns out, at least for the purpose of our analysis, that three of them are really relevant and one is really not. And I'm going to start with that one. The first factor is investment returns. And I've heard discussion that, gee, CalPERS isn't doing a good job managing the investments in their fund. I can't concur with that analysis. And this slide comes right from the Bartels report. You can see that their rate of investment return over a 20-year basis was an average of 6.9%, and over a 30-year basis was an average of 8.3%. And I think that's excellent. And certainly there's volatility in the market, but you can see that with the exception of just a few years, they have had positive returns, and those long-term returns are really quite solid. So what are the factors that have brought us to where we are and that have accounted for problems with other pensions? Well, one factor is generous benefits. In the past, the benefits that we offered were what are called the classic plan. People could retire at age 55, and they received 2% a year of their final highest average earnings. That's a pretty generous plan. A third factor is optimistic assumptions about investment returns. This is what's called the discount rate. And in previous years, CalPERS had estimated a fairly high rate of investment return. And the result of that was that employers like the Sonoma County Library weren't required to put in as much money as they would have been if CalPERS had estimated that they were going to be earning less. And the fourth factor was that CalPERS had a very long time where agencies could make up for underfunding. So for example, if there was a year when the investment returns were below the projected rate, all employers would have to kick in extra money. But most public agencies operate on fairly tight budgets, and any increase for an expense like pension can be difficult for them to accommodate. So CalPERS had a very slow, kind of a 30-year amortization process to make up for investment losses in any one year. And that was really too long. So what's been done about this? Well, four things. First, CalPERS has moved to a more conservative investment strategy in an effort to reduce overall risk. The classic plan, which included very generous benefits, has been replaced statewide by PEPRA. That happened in 2013. Assumptions about what kind of return are we going to get, the discount rate, have been made more conservative and are continuing to become more conservative, and the time to make up for underfunding has been shortened. So all four of these things have served to help shore up public pensions for agencies like the Sonoma County Library and other public agencies in California. So that's the good news, is that over time, the status of these pension plans will continue to improve. So how are we doing? Well, here's the information that Bartel shared with us. And you can see that as of June 30th, 2019, our unfunded liability was $14 million. Our assets covered about 80% of our total liability. This was the remainder, that 14 million. June 30th, 2020, our unfunded liability had increased a bit. Our coverage of liability had dropped a percentage point, but you can see that we're doing better than the average public agencies, which have been in the low 70s range. And for several years, we've been around 80%. So we're doing better than many public agencies in California. Sorry, I just pushed the wrong button there. Okay. Now in 2021, those of you who had any money in the market know that there were very positive investment returns. And Bartel included an estimate. It's a projection of what we'll see if we were to do this analysis again. And the result was a significant gain in the value of our assets and a significant decrease in the amount of our unfunded liability. It dropped from about 16 million as of June 30th, 2020 to only about 7 million in June 30 of 2021, which meant that we were covering about 90% of the projected liabilities for the plan. So that seems really good. But what are we supposed to do now? Clearly, we can't count on those kinds of investment returns to continue on a regular basis. We still have an unfunded liability for the pension. Well, there are three options, really. We could do nothing and hope for the best. We can make one or more additional discretionary payments directly to CalPERS, or we can set up what's called the 115 trust and make additional discretionary payments to the trust. Tonight, we're not asking the commission to take any of these actions, but I did want to plant the seed. This is a discussion that the Finance Committee will be continuing to have, and we will be coming back to the commission with a recommendation. So, big picture, as of June 30th of last year, our funding position was better than it had been ever, I think, with the pension plan. This year, obviously, returns have not been equal to that, and probably our unfunded liability has increased somewhat. We'll be continuing to look at that. Now, in terms of the OPEB report, and I'm going to cover this very quickly, the valuation here is actually as of June 30th, 2021. And now why the valuation date is different for post-employment healthcare benefits as opposed to pension, I cannot answer that, but that's been consistent with all the reports that I've seen. A few things to keep in mind about our post-employment benefits. There are three different tiers of benefits depending on when employees were hired, either before 1997, from 1997 to 2013, or after 2013. And there are three different percentages, either 80, 82, or 84, that the library pays based on the classification of the employee. As Bartel notes, there are three different investment strategies available. The library currently has strategy 3, which is the most conservative. You can see that our global equity position is only about 22% of our total assets. And along with that conservative philosophy, our expected rate of return in our OPEB fund is also somewhat lower. So you can see that Strategy 3, the projected rate of return is a bit lower than it is in strategy 1 or 2. This is something we might want to ask Myrna to take a look at as she becomes more comfortable in her role as CFO. Now, that said, although we have had a conservative investment philosophy, returns have exceeded expectations, which has been great. And that means that the funding for our liabilities has also increased. So you can see, if you look at the bottom line, that as of June 30th, 2019, only about 23% of our liabilities were covered by our OPEB fund. As of June 30, 2021, we were up to almost 46%, and they're projecting that as of June 30 of this year, we will be more than 50% funded. The reason why this has improved is that for the past several years, we have been making additional contributions above and beyond the current contribution we're required to make. And these are projected to increase through the 2027-2028 fiscal year. Now, what happened, and this is the last slide, and then I'm going to stop talking, but what happened, we owe a lot of credit to Commissioner Barbara McKenzie, who was involved in this back in 2018. The commission created an ad hoc committee to address the unfunded OPEB liability and make recommendations regarding the principles and priorities that should guide OPEB decision-making. Policy was adopted in August of 2018, and it stipulated that the library would deposit $3 million into the OPEB trust, and then an additional $750,000 annually for a 10-year period, beginning in the fiscal year 2018 to 2019. Now, thanks to the development and execution of this prudent approach, we have been steadily increasing our funded ratio, steadily decreasing the unfunded liability, and we're on track to be in very good shape when we stop making those additional payments in 2027, 2028. So that's the good news in terms of both of these plans. We have been doing reasonably well, and with staying the course on OPEB and considering possible additional discretionary payments for the pension plan, we can really put both of these plans on a sound financial footing. That's a quick synopsis of those very complicated reports. I'll try to answer any questions, and the ones I can't answer, I'm going to throw to Myrna. Paul?
Andy, I just have to say thank you, because this is Latin to me, and thank you for taking on this task, and you explained it very well. I could even understand some of it. So thank you. And thank you, Barbara. I remember back in the meeting, you pushed this, and it really, no, it did. It's paying off. So it's good to see. You know, I like charts, so it's good to see the charts and that we're getting there. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
You know, I don't see any other questions. Paul, can I assume that that's a motion to approve? Motion to accept, rather?
I move to approve.
Motion to accept. Tom, I thought that you were clapping. Did you have your hand up, or are you clapping?
I have my hand up. I keep putting it up and it goes away. So I'm putting up the wrong thing.
All right, there you go.
I have three things to say. I think Bartell and Associates should hire Andy to make their presentation. You have no idea how complex their presentation was. And several of us sat through it, not just the finance committee members. We're behind, and probably the market fall over the last 3 months has put us further behind, because we're invested in different things that have lost value. And we're eventually going to have to keep coming up with some more money to deal with this deficiency, and probably the finance committee is going to come back with a recommendation of what to do. So I'd like to have it approved, and I'll second the motion I think that Paul made to accept.
Okay, any other discussion? Then I'm going to vote on the acceptance. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkins, Commissioner Engbarth,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider.
Yes.
A fabulous job. It's unanimous, and thank you so much. All right, then we will, our next item is the approval of the revised proposed fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. We've had a number of conversations about this. So Andy, are you and Myrna walking through this, or do we feel like we have enough information to just vote on it?
Well, I think Myrna's done some preparation. Did you want to say a few things in advance, Myrna, about the budget?
Sure. If you'd like, I do have a prepared presentation.
Perfect.
Okay, so we could do that. And hopefully it's short and sweet and take your questions. Okay, share my screen. Share. Switch. Okay. So do you only see the presentation?
Yes. Yes. We see.
Yeah.
Good evening, commissioners. I'm excited to be here with you this evening to present the revised fiscal year 2023 proposed budget before you today for your consideration and approval. The commission held a public review of next year's proposed budget in the following ways. On April 1, the commission held its annual budget workshop. On May 2nd, the commission reviewed responses to any open questions from the budget workshop. And today the commission is considering the approval of the final proposed fiscal 22-23 budget. The reimagining plan set the priorities for next year's budget, and there are other important elements that were incorporated in formulating the budget. And these include the new allocation of major revenue sources policy, the Measure Y ordinance and expenditure plan, the use of maintenance reserves for facilities and IT, and an overhaul of the capital improvement program. It also includes new Sunday hours at 11 new branches and fiscal efficiencies, which created savings due to recalibration of benefits. We still have to continue to be mindful of external factors that impact our revenues and overall operations, and these include economic conditions at the national, state, and local levels, natural disasters, and ongoing COVID-19 variants. And we continue to monitor the budget regularly for any necessary adjustments in response to these. The fiscal year 22-23 proposed budget is as of April 1, there have been some adjustments. So the key highlights are revenues are $48.9 million, which is $2.1 million of new revenue. It includes 221.35 full-time equivalent positions. Of those, 11.5 are new, and 10 of them are dedicated to support the Sunday hours. Here is more detail on the budget, and I'll explain the columns. You'll see this is the adjusted budget since the April 1 workshop, and it includes the property tax in the second column. The third column is sales tax, and the third is the gift and donations fund. The fourth column is the total of those three, and it compares, this budget compares to the approved adjusted budget for our fiscal year 21-22, which is our current year that's closing up. and then variances. Under property tax, the total revenues are $23.9 million. And the sources include $25 million, and this includes use of reserves from the fund balance as allowed by the fund balance policy that we used for the maintenance and repair for facilities and IT reserves and the capital improvement program. And on the expenditure side, we have $27.2 million. And as you can see, there's a difference. The expenditures are greater than the total funding sources. And that means that there will be a use of the fund balance of $2.2 million to cover all expenditures under the property tax fund. We'll go into further detail of what this, how we get there. Under property tax, the revenue sources are $15.7 million. And the total sources, that includes the use of fund balance for the reserves that I mentioned, for a total sources of $22 million. And here on the expenditure side, the expenditures are $21.5 million, which is less than the total sources. Therefore, there is a positive impact to the fund balance under the property tax of $505,000 approximately. Here is the slide that explains the adjustments to the budget since April 1 budget workshop. And there is a net increase in appropriations or expenditures of $928,434. And the adjustments are discussed in detail in the transmittal memo. And the drivers for these increases are an additional 1.5 FTE, which is a net of salary and benefits increase of $280,000. And a one-time OPEB additional payment of $656,128. And here I will go explain this, and it is also explained in the memo, is that during the budget workshop, Commissioner McKenzie raised a question about the OPEB payment. At that time in April, the OPEB payment was allocated to both property tax and sales tax. Commissioners since then noted that at the time that Measure Y sales tax was collected, there was an unfunded OPEB liability. At the end of 2017, this unfunded liability was $7.5 million on the books. And in 2018, the commission established an ad hoc committee which created recommendations to address this long-term liability. And we discussed this in the prior item, agenda item. Since then, through the end of this fiscal year, we will have paid $6.1 million exclusively with property tax toward that $7.5 million. And after this analysis and discussion with Commissioners McKenzie and Elkind, the administration revised its recommendation to the following: to pay $7.5 million toward the OPEB unfunded liability with property tax only. Therefore, the annual payment of $750,000 will be paid out from property tax, and the additional payment, one-time payment of $656,000 be paid with property tax funds also. And so those two will be 100% allocated to property tax. And the property tax available, the fund balance will be used for that one-time payment. Here, this shows the total budget and how it is broken up. The way we've discussed it is by people, places, and resources. People are all our employees and salary and benefits. And compared to the April 1 budget, there is an increase of $260,000. Compared to fiscal year 22, there is a salary and benefits increase, and a salary increase of $2.4 million. And this is primarily driven by the Sunday hours and the approved COLA, and then also a little bit by the 1.5 FTE mentioned. Benefits, there still is a savings due to the recalibration, but it's less than it was in April due to the addition of 1.5 FTE and the benefits related to those FTE. Resources are our services and supplies. And compared to fiscal year 22, there is an increase mainly for Sunday hours of $400,000. And places are our capital projects. And compared to fiscal year 22, it's $4.7 million. That is a rebudget. So rolling over projects worth $4.7 million into next fiscal year. And $1.8 million are new projects for a total of $6.73 million for capital. In this slide, we show a divisions budget by percentage. And the majority here, the point is that the majority of the library budget, 86% or over $41 million of the resources are allocated to branches for direct services to the community. Public services is 37% of the total budget. Collections is 13% of the budget. Facilities is 23% of the budget, and this includes capital projects. IT is 10% of the budget, and it includes the capital budgets project. And communications is 2% of the budget. Administration is 14% of total expenditures, with human resources at 7%, executive services 4%, and budget and finance at 3% of total budget. What are our financing sources? And here I break it down by source. Property tax is the greatest with 48% of all funding sources. And sales tax is 32% of all funding sources. The use of reserves as allowed by the fund balance policy is 15%. And there is a net use of fund balance of 4%. Where you see a 0%, it just is that the percentage is less than 1%. So it rounds down to 0%. Fiscal year 23 is the first time that the allocation of major revenue sources policy is applied to the budget. And this policy provides clarity on the use of Measure Y sales tax and property tax. The Commission approved this policy earlier this year with the following ratios to apply to expenditures across divisions. So expenditures under service-oriented divisions, 60% of those expenditures are applied to property tax, 40% of expenditures are applied to Measure Y, and so on and so forth. There are exceptions, as we will see in the next slide. Sunday hours, workers' comp, the health reimbursement accounts, and the OPEB are not subject to these ratios, but they are explained in the next slide. Here you can see that the 60-40 in the first half is split 60-40%, 60-40% for the service-oriented divisions, 90%, 10% for the administration divisions, and capital is 10% under property tax and 90% under sales tax. The exceptions are, and as discussed in the memo, are the Sunday hours. Property tax is picking up and making possible Sunday hours to the 11 branches. And workers' comp and the health reimbursement accounts are applied 60% of property tax, 40% to sales tax, as they these are driven by system-wide workforce. Per the discussions with Commissioner McKenzie and Commissioner Elkind and and the administration's further analysis, and our new recommendation or revised recommendation is to have the annual OPEB payment of $750,000 applied to property tax only, and then one additional payment of $656,128 applied to 100% to property tax. And this is, I like to illustrate numbers in graphs. So this is a graph that shows the ratios that were discussed earlier. And as you know, all of these revenues and expenditures have an impact on the fund balance. The fund balance policy provides direction on how the fund balance can be used. In fiscal year 23, the available fund balance under property tax is $5.7 million, and under sales tax is $6.6 million, for a total of $12.3 million. And this is after fully funding the stabilization fund and setting aside reserves for IT and facilities and supporting the multi-year capital improvement fund. In summary, the accomplishments set out in this in the fiscal year 22-23 budget include the addition of Sunday hours at 11 new locations made possible by Measure Y, 100%. The implementation of the allocation of major revenue sources policy, and the full implementation of the fund balance policy to ensure reserves for our major expenditures under facilities, IT, and capital improvements. And just to recap, the timeline: in April, the commission held its annual budget workshop. On May 2nd, the commission reviewed responses to open questions. And on June 6th, today, the commission is considering adopting the budget for fiscal year 22-23. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thanks very much. Let's see. I'm going to take Commissioner Engbarth because he's not on the Finance Committee. I think that people who are not on the Finance Committee, because we've been swimming in this for a long time, can speak out. Go for it, Commissioner Engbarth.
Thank you. Just two questions, and probably my guess would be that we would be getting answers to both of these at another commission meeting. But one of them is, I'm curious about, with the FTE level we're at, how are we as far as staffing the branches? Are we at a place where the branches are fully staffed, or we're having to juggle people around to cover branches? Do you have an idea on that, Myrna?
I will ask for either the director, library director, or deputy director to answer that.
As I said, I don't need an answer to that one today, but I mean, that might be something that could be a report back on. I'm just wondering how our coverage is doing.
Great.
So the other question is, when I went through the budget this time, I went through it line by line, which I probably should have done before, but I noticed on page 22 of the proposed budget, and then on page 34 under the facilities plan, there's a charge for or a budgeted item for $330,000 for security. And are we hiring guards to guard the buildings? Or I don't remember there being a discussion at the board about security programs.
Page 34.
Yeah, 34 under, it's item number 51230. Security Services.
52152.
Deputy Director Tavo or Director Hammond, do you want to take the answer to that question?
Certainly, we have used a security service for many years now at several of our branches, not at all of them.
Yes, we have security guards at Central Library, Petaluma, Northwest, and we also have security patrols that patrol at night at those same 3 locations.
And that's what that covers, is patrols and physical, security with bodies.
Yeah. So we do have security guards working in our branches along with our staff at the Central Library in Santa Rosa, Petaluma, and Northwest. And then we have a separate contract for nighttime patrols.
Okay. Because I wasn't sure whether that was for bodies, guards, or whether it might have been for surveillance cameras. But if it's for people, that's good.
Any more questions? Great. Commissioner McKenzie. Oh. And Deputy Director Tavo, you had your hand up for that, yes?
Yes, but we are relatively well staffed. I mean, we have a few vacancies as a result of some of our recent promotions, and we do intend to recruit for those positions shortly. But, just looking at our list of vacancies that we have, currently we have 3 library specialists. We have 3 librarians, and like I said, that was as a result of our recent promotion. A half-time library associate, and our accounting manager. But we are very well staffed considering, the pandemic. The main issue that's affecting our branches is really the people calling out sick due to COVID, and that's the one thing that makes it feel like we have less staff than we actually do. And in a normal, year, we would be very well staffed.
Great, thanks very much. Commissioner McKenzie, you had a question.
Yes, it's kind of a statement-y question, but I want to say that I've been involved in the Finance Committee for all 8 years I've been on this commission, and I have reapplied to be reappointed, but I may not be reappointed. And so I just want to take this opportunity to say this. This is a tremendously excellent budget and budget presentation. I applaud everyone. I want to especially applaud our CFO. In the past, I have brought up things like funding the capital accounts, having an allocation policy, but they were never followed through, or they were dropped or whatever. And our CFO has just wrapped up everything, addressed all the questions, folded everything into this beautiful document. It explains everything. There's a narrative. It's clear, her reports, the cohesion of everything, the graphs, the explanations. It's just a tremendous document. If you just want for comparison, look what we had last year, look what we have this year. I just can't express, again, this is where we needed to be as a public agency, and we're there. And I just want to thank our CFO especially so much for getting us here. I had one more comment, and that was my particular concern about the liability that we had on the books. Those of us who worked on the tax measure may recall that there was a lot of public concern. Oh, you just want to raise our tax, sales tax, so you can pay off your old liabilities. And with this additional payment that we're going to be making, where we straightened out this year's allocation of the $750,000 with the additional money that I hope everyone approves tonight, we will have squared the ledger completely, and the money that we are getting in our sales tax will not be going to pay off an old liability on our OPEB. And I think we should all be really proud of that and feel good about it. And we can explain, going forward, the renewal of our tax measure, which of course we all hope gets renewed in a few years. But anyway, it's all clear, it's all in one place, and it's been done. And I thank everyone involved, and especially thank you, CFO Lopez, because you've just done a tremendous job.
Thanks very much, Commissioner McKenzie. I'm going to, in a moment, after David asks his question, I'm going to ask you to move to approve the revised proposed fiscal year 2022-23 budget. So Commissioner Cahill.
Yes, what Barbara said, essentially, as,
Okay.
as to the report and Myrna's work. It's just
Yes.
night and day. So I really appreciate it. This is a solid report that the public can even understand, which is really good.
Amen. Then I'm gonna call you a second.
Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna call the roll for the approval of the budget, revised budget. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkind,
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Enthusiastic, yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider.
Yes.
That makes it so unanimous, and truly, it's the Finance Committee deserves tons of applause. Commissioner Elkin deserves tons of applause, but particularly the staff and Myrna and staff get tremendous applause. So thank you very much. Moving on, this is the resolution approving the appropriations limit. As everyone knows, we have to approve this every year. So I would like someone to move.
I move. for approval.
Oh, thank you,
Second.
Commissioner Engbarth. And that must have been Commissioner Heavenridge. Any discussion, any questions? Okay, Commissioner Cahill. I'm asking for the roll. Commissioner Cahill?
You're on mute, Dave.
Yes.
Bless your heart. Commissioner Elkind,
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Moving forward, the budget adjustment gifts and donations fund. Myrna, are you going to walk us through this?
Sure can.
Unless someone else was planning to.
Nope, nope.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that. Jaylene, can you show the item? I'll just go through the staff report.
Page 294.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, no, the next one.
295.
Yes. So essentially, this is a budget adjustment for the current fiscal year 2022. And in what we discovered was that as you saw in when you approved the budget, is that the commission also approves the appropriations under the gift and donations fund. And in fiscal year 22, the approved revenues are $80,000 and the expenditures maximum that could be spent was approved at $37,500. And the actuals are much greater than that, and much greater than the approved budget. And there's a lot of activity here. This is where the donations or the grants from the Friends are recorded and tracked by each Friends group. And so it's very active, and the actuals are greater than the revenues and expenditures. So the expenditures have exceeded $37,500, and in order to pay those invoices that correspond to these gifts and donations, we are asking the commission to increase the revenues and appropriations levels to do that. That's it in a nutshell. The other item, just for your information, is that discovered that this fund has not been reconciled by Friends group. And I understand that in the past, there was a practice where there was regular communication with library staff and the Friends groups about the expenditures of the funds. And so the goal is we're in the process of reconciling the Friends groups and so that we can going forward, regular reporting with the Friends groups so that we can continue that practice.
Okay. Do I see questions? Commissioner Hauser?
I'd like to move approval. And I think this again is something that we haven't seen before at the end of the year. Actually, we have a change in revenue and we adjust our budget so that going forward, it's a realistic statement of what happened during the year. So I approve. I move the approval.
I'd like to second that long-term concern about the Friends being properly acknowledged. And I think this is fantastic and appreciated, and second the motion.
Great. Any questions before we take the vote? All right, seeing none. Commissioner Cahill?
Yes.
Commissioner Elkind?
Yes.
Commissioner Ringbarth?
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. McKenzie?
Yes.
Commissioner Parker?
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider?
Yes.
Fabulous. All right. And then moving on to the next item, we are going to approve the delegation of authority and budget allocation policy as presented. Let's see. Anne, Myrna, do you want to walk us through this?
So the administration reviews policies on an annual basis. That's the goal. And in reviewing the delegation of authority on budget allocation policy, administration has some recommendations to in twofold. One is to increase the authority for the youth administrator and the adult services administrator from 1,000 to 3,000. Main reasons for that is that the cost of doing business has gone up. And now that we're going back to in-person services, $1,000 seems to be creating some issues. And in terms of planning, it's best to, we're seeing that 3,000 would be more appropriate in terms of their authority for expenditure.
Mm-hmm.
The second is to add the technology manager under capital expenses. The IT manager and the facilities manager work very closely together with our capital projects. And so the IT manager should be added as there are large expenditures over $5,000 at times for construction projects. In addition, this did not make it into the written recommendation, but after we published this, we saw an omission here that we'd like for the commission to address is to, under the purchase of goods and services, maintenance and repair up to $5,000. We're asking the commission to add the information technology manager. The technology manager had not been listed. So these are large expenditures that the technology manager makes, and it would be equivalent to the facilities manager like we did below.
Any questions about that from the commission?
We have Commissioner Elkin.
Thanks. Yeah, just to clarify that, I think I understand what you're saying. So in terms of purchase of goods, service, maintenance, and repair, the IT manager would have a limit up to $5,000. But for capital expenses related to construction projects, that limit would be 10,000. Is that what you're saying here?
That's correct.
Okay. That seems very reasonable. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Elkin. Anybody else? Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Thanks, Commissioner Cahill. A second?
I second.
Fabulous. Thanks, Commissioner Schneider. All right. Seeing no other hands up, I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Engbarth,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider.
Yes.
Great. We like to see tidy policies. Thanks very much for walking us through it.
You.
And let's see, we're not going to do the bylaws today, so we are going to move into section 12, which is the discussion. And I believe for library services to support fundraising activities, we're going to hear from Craig Palmer.
You're going to hear from me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's quite all right. So yes, we've had discussion several times about the need for fundraising and the desirability of fundraising and the appropriateness of it. And so we recently asked our legal counsel to give us an opinion regarding whether the library is allowed as a JPA to fundraise on its own behalf and whether we are allowed to assist our library foundation. So what you see in your packet is the legal opinion, and our counsel is here with us tonight. So if you have questions or comments, I'm sure that you would be willing to address those for us.
But the bottom line is that we think we could raise funds for our libraries.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. Commissioner Engbarth.
Yes, I wanted to thank Ann and council for getting the report out. Greatly appreciate seeing it in writing and having it laid out the way that it is. I think there may have been some confusion in the discussions. It was mainly because when I was bringing up this cost recovery issue, I was grabbing examples, and the best example was what Craig's doing. But the cost recovery policy that I was questioning about really covers other costs other than just the recovery of costs from doing fundraising activities. It would be a policy covering things like if we did research services for a business and wanted to get some reimbursement for that, or other items such as that. And I just would say that that's really what, and I sent some examples of cost recovery policies out as a follow-up memo to everyone to be clear about that. I just wanted to make that point. I greatly appreciate when we got back on the foundation. It's going to be really helpful. Thank you.
Super, thanks. Any other questions? Well, I think that we can all look forward to moving forward with fundraising activities. We have lots to do in the next few years, and it's not just Roseland, it's all kinds of things. So we look forward to working as a team. And I'm glad that we heard from the Library Foundation as well, that they're looking forward to moving forward with us as well. That's terrific. But I don't want to close discussion if there's a burning desire. But I see no hands up, so I'm going to move to 12.2, which is nominations for chair and vice chair. And we're not voting on it today. We're just, if there are nominations, we want to make sure that they're just ready. So nominations will be accepted through June 17th. You can nominate yourself, you can nominate another commissioner, and most of us have gone through this before. So any nominations at this time?
Chair Doyle, we do have Commissioner Cahill and Commissioner Schneider.
I didn't see who went first. Commissioner Schneider.
Thank you. I would like to nominate Deborah Doyle for chair of the commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Schneider.
If she so accepts.
Commissioner Cahill.
I nominate Tom Hauser as vice chair.
I would accept a nomination. Commissioner Hauser, how about you?
If anybody else wants to do it, I'm more than willing to defer. If nobody will come forward, I will do it.
All right. Well, people have until June 17th to think about
Let me
this.
know. I'm more than willing to step aside.
All right, then we're going to
Barbara.
Barbara, so sorry. You just muted yourself.
Sorry, went backward. This just kind of a spontaneous moment. I was the vice chair 1 year and very much enjoyed that. And as I said earlier today, I'm not assured of being reappointed to the commission. So, and I will not be in town in July. So anyway, I'll just, if Commissioner Hauser really would like someone else to do it, I'll just throw my hat in there. But again, that's assuming that I'm on commission or not. But I am interested in being vice chair at some point. Doesn't have to be this year. And but I very much enjoyed that role. So
thank you. We'll make sure we won't forget you when you go out of town, Barbara. And we expect you to report back on what a fabulous time you had. All right, then we're going to move into our closed session.
Deborah,
yeah.
I'm so sorry. I know
I'm so sorry,
going
Andy.
way out of order here, but
No, no.
I'm back on the previous item for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know it's just a discussion item, but it looked to me as though the commission is requested to discuss this item and direct staff on next steps. And it seemed to me that the takeaway, I'm looking at the last line of the legal opinion, is that any staff time, equipment, or resources should be documented and the specific public purpose related to the library mission, programs, or service identified. So it seems to me that we should urge the staff to move ahead and continue in this direction, and just to be sure that they're providing appropriate documentation.
A very keen eye. Thank you very much, Commissioner Elkind. And I'm sure the staff will take that under advisement and report to us regularly.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Closed session. We're going to be having, we have 2 items, so we will try to get back fairly quickly, but it'll take what it takes. What is the Thank you, everybody, for being so patient with us. We had important things to talk about. So the closed session is over, and pursuant to California Government Code 54957.1, I would like to report on our evaluation and salary discussion for Anne, the library director. And so we have decided to give Anne a raise, and we will have details about that at the July meeting. So it will be kind of a farewell, Anne, but we're going to get there. And then as far as our second item, pursuant to a California Government Code 54957.1, we met in a closed session to consider the appointment of a specific candidate for interim director of the for acting director of the Sonoma County Library. And so we would like to, it is our intention to appoint Erica, our deputy director, to be that position, and more details will be revealed as far as that's concerned at the July meeting, also in terms of details. And that is my report on the closed session. And let's see, we are down to 15. Any agenda items for our future commission meetings other than the items that we removed this evening? And the election? I am not seeing any hands raised. Anne, is there anything you think we need to talk about?
I can't think of anything right now.
All right. Well, then seeing none, mighty close to 9 o'clock.
Chair Doyle, sorry to interrupt. We do have Commissioner Elkin.
I'm so sorry. Commissioner
That's
Elkin.
okay. I'll be quick. This is not something to add to a future meeting. I just wanted to extend my sincere gratitude to other members of the commission. We had a lot of serious business that we had to cover tonight. And I guess I want to echo what I heard Barbara say earlier. As I look back on the things that we have accomplished, I'm really proud, and obviously the staff has done an enormous amount of work to get us ready for this. But having an approved budget with all of the additional analysis and policies that Myrna has helped us implement, I think we have a really strong foundation for the year ahead. And I'm very grateful to staff and very grateful to the commission. So thank you.
And let me add thank you to our chair and our vice chair. I wanted to make those comments when we put nominations in going forward, but it's a ton of work to be in the chair, and it's a ton of work being the vice chair. It's a lot of time, and I appreciate you both and everything you put in for the last, has it been 2 years? A lot. So thank you both, especially.
Thank you very much. And I don't think Tom and I could have said it any better than you and Andy just have. So enjoy the rest of your evening. And if you're taking a vacation, enjoy. If you're wandering off to a library conference, enjoy that too. Try not to bring too many books home. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye, Anne.
Bye now. Have fun, Barbara.
Thanks.